No Man's Sky Beacon is here. Update 5.7 brings an overhaul of settlements, and a pretty substantial one at that, making everything a little more meaningful, including the ability to own more than one, the addition of autophage settlements, and far greater interactivity within them. Along with this, cross-save is now properly released to everyone, additions to base building with parts and functionality, and lots of other smaller things. As usual, this update is more than it would appear. First things first, settlements. You can now own up to 4 of them, meaning you can have one for each race with a new addition of autophage in this area. Each settlement is individually defined in a mission log and even has a management screen accessible anywhere by the quick menu, where you can view details including current deaths or items being produced. Talking of items, you can now pick what your settlements produce, which is a great change. This includes resources like gases or products like glass. Even for permadeath, this could be a useful source of life support gel or other useful survival items. As I said before, autophage settlements are now a thing. They have their own distinct aesthetic made with crystals and reclaimed metals. It is said in the patch notes that players who have completed They Who Returned may receive an invitation at their settlement to visit an autophage settlement, which implies to me that you do not need to have completed the mission to be able to get an autophage settlement. However, I do expect you to need to have started it so that you can see the autophage themselves. Remember that to trigger the mission, They Who Returned, you must have completed the main storyline that starts with Awakening, up to and including the Purge. On top of that, you must have also found and unlocked Harmonic Camp. I'll link a recent video explaining how to unlock purple systems, as They Who Returned is required to unlock them. It will prove a useful guide in unlocking the autophage as a whole. Autophage settlements will also have its own synthesis terminal, the ones you find at their camps, for building staff weapons and spending void motes on items, customizations and tech. A unique function of autophage settlements is a specialization to be less detectable by sentinels, meaning they'll get raided less often. Finding autophage settlements is thankfully quite easy. You can find a planetary chart to scan for them in autophage camp synthesis terminals, purchasable with void motes. I'm quite glad we don't need to use the normal settlement maps and hope for the best. We get autophage in dissonant systems. Settlement management decisions have been reworked. Formerly, the decisions made at settlements felt a bit pointless, but they've now been improved largely by the results of them. Firstly, the decisions for concluding citizen disputes are no longer one or the other. We can now choose one, the other, both, or neither. This definitely fits the RP better. Settlement management decisions can now reward things like new words, products, nanites, and standing. Existing settlement buildings can now be upgraded, increasing the aesthetic appeal as well as their functionality towards a settlement. A bunch of new decisions have been added, such as commissioning artwork and naming a newborn citizen, or receiving or donating a gift from a settler to you, the Overseer. When citizens are up for expeditions, you'll now see who is leading it and so who will be lost if they fail, as well as more detail of the expedition so better choices can be made. You'll also now be able to track the expeditions and debrief them after for details and rewards similar to fleet expeditions via your freighter. Settlements have also received a lot of balancing and quality of life improvements. Settlements can now support up to 18 special features, increased from 6. Special features of a settlement are what dictate population, wealth, etc. These can be positive or negative, and building new things or gaining new citizens can change bad to good. The change from 6 to 18 definitely brings more room for crafting the settlement you want versus just trying to get something good. More news on the choice of items your settlements produce is that the list you choose from is based on the race of the settlement as well as the buildings you choose to install. Upgrading those buildings will further increase the available items. It would also seem that 2 different things can be chosen for production, though the amount available may be dependent on settlement size or class. The items produced can also be either collected by you or just straight sold for cash. The class of a settlement has also had changes. This is great considering how annoying the older system was to try to attain S-class. Existing settlements will be affected, but the ability to obtain S-class for a settlement has been made far easier. Existing settlements prior to the Beacon update will obtain a new feature called Pioneer Spirit. This feature is not obtainable from this update onward. Its effects aren't clear, but I'm expecting it to be more powerful than other obtainable features, so it's absolutely worth keeping your existing settlement as one of your 4. We're looking into ways to better turn around failing settlements. My survival save settlement I left to rot has accrued 10 million in debt and appears to be climbing, so I have a good test one to work with. Each building in the settlement now has a terminal by the door that you can use to see its stats and upgrade if you choose to. The buildings work on the normal class system and show their upkeep, production, how many settlers they can hold as well as how many they have and the happiness they bring to the settlement. Having this data will make managing and choices way easier. As far as how to upgrade, it's via that terminal, though as ever only one construction project can be dealt with at once. I've yet to determine whether it's best to upgrade or expand, or even whether there's a sweet spot between the two, or whether specific buildings should be focused on, but it'll come in time. All buildings also have a tangible function now, such as hydroponics having crop plots and a guild envoy in the marketplace you can actually deal with. Tower buildings can be used to scan for points of interest in the system. Factory buildings have a multi-tool cabinet, though this is quite interesting as it changes the multi-tool inside daily. It'll be interesting to find out whether you can still access the pool via the cabinet, whether it's using the system or its own altered seed, also whether the classes will be static or even related to the settlement or factory building. Landing pads can be used to locate crashed ships. Saloons have a bite beat you can program. Also, while the types of enemy raids that can happen upon your settlements has increased, the frequency of these has been adjusted and will generally be lower, but more worthwhile to participate in. This type of stuff is what the settlements need, making this update's focus as usual completely unexpected and something we didn't quite realise we wanted, like another small part of the ever-growing whole of No Man's Sky. One of the biggest things in my opinion is the effect a settlement can now have on the local economy, something players including myself have wanted for quite some time. I expected it to come in the form of ownable space stations, maybe abandoned ones that could be claimed and upgraded, but this is a cool way of going about it too. How this will affect other players is not fully clear. The only information we have on this feature is this note: thriving settlements will now increase the wealth of their local solar system, and this sentence from further up in the release page: a flourishing settlement benefits an entire solar system, with the local economy receiving a boost from its wealth. As well, or even as part of the additional autophage settlements, is that of course they had to make an entire new set of build parts for the autophage, and that's what they've done. Over 100 new base parts, creating an autophage aesthetic version of the existing 3 wood, stone and metal parts. These autophage salvage base parts have a metal and crystal aesthetic that brings way more options for cyberpunk builds and more. The existing 3 sets have also had a weathered texture option added to make them look a little more broken in. This effect is used in the settlements too, in the low class buildings, to more easily show the difference upon upgrading. Snapping of build parts has been significantly improved, which is a pretty big deal for builders. Snapping has been a bit of an issue for some time now. The cylindrical room frame snapping to other building parts has been increased also. Terrain edits has also seemingly been improved as far as uploading correctly with bases. I honestly don't have much faith with persistence in terrain edits after all this time. However, if you have a base that includes terrain edits, it would definitely be worth re-uploading that base. It can't hurt at least. A small addition has been made to the Suit Lady voice. You can now not only turn the voice off, but also switch to a male voice if you wish. Added audio options for adjusting the pitch and style for player vocalizations, such as grunting and breathing. This is also pretty cool really. Cross-save is finally released to everyone now, after its long beta. Nintendo Switch 2 has also had support added in this update. Players who own NMS on Switch can upgrade to the Switch 2 edition for free via an upgrade pack on the Nintendo eShop. Switch 2 adds support for multiplayer, game chat, friends list, etc., though a Nintendo Online account is required. You'll also have many, if not all, of the missing features that were not included on the Switch version added to the Switch 2 version, such as multiplayer, 4K textures, high frame rates, settlements, cross-save and crossplay. A nice little extra quality of life change is that galaxy names have been added to the discovery menu, making your trans-galaxy adventures a little more easy to manage. Of course, you can expect a whole bunch of optimizations and stability improvements that I won't bore you with here that have been added. There are also some worthwhile bug fixes which I'll quickly run through now. Fixed an issue that could prevent removal of players added to the No Man's Sky friends list. Fixed an issue on Steam that prevented the game from recognizing blocks issued to other players via the Steam interface. Fixed a rare issue which could cause a ship to be overridden with another player's ship when going through a portal during the core story missions in multiplayer. Fixed an issue that could prevent a mission with a very distant target location from being restarted if that location was in a different galaxy. Fixed an issue that could cause in-game options to reset when relaunching the game. Fixed an issue that could cause some expedition reward multi-tools to rename themselves. Added some missing ramp structural base parts to the catalogue. Fixed an issue that allowed ancient living stone guardians to target players with an active cloaking device. Fixed an issue that could cause the camera to dip beneath the terrain when riding a creature. Fixed an issue that could allow ridden creatures to intersect terrain. Fixed an issue that could cause invalid data to appear in the ship archiving interface. Fixed an issue that could cause the current teleporter to appear as a possible teleport destination. Fixed several rendering issues on Nintendo Switch that could cause terrain to appear black or missing. Fixed an issue that could cause motion blur to appear blocky when whipping the camera around quickly. Fixed an issue that could prevent some planetary rocks and foliage from appearing. And finally, fixed an issue that caused the inventory to fail to open when using an Xbox controller on Mac. This update, as usual, had far more than it first appeared. Are you looking forward to building up your settlement now? Or does this still not get you going? Be sure to watch this video on top to get access to the autophage as well as the purple systems after that. Peace.